I've always had a bit of an unusual slant on fashion, I suppose. Sculpture and performance tied in with drawing, which I'd always done ever since I was a child, so it was just kind of an exaggeration of what I'd always done.
You kind of want to, I'm trying to build in all of those funny shapes. Yeah, far you can put it.
So I'd say that my way of working is probably less traditional if you consider the way that fashion works now, because fashion is very fast and it's very much about product now, and it's about all of these different ways of buying a lot of products. And my intention for starting a label was to work really small scale with the individuals who buy the clothes. But then if you go back to the history of fashion, that's probably how fashion was seen, like, I don't know, in the 50s or earlier. You know, it was more of a, you bought less garments, you consumed less. We kind of make these huge patchwork things that are quite traditional, and they're very much a drawing that's in fabric. And then we cut them down, patch them together, make them into these curved shapes, and reuse everything to make the next shape. So it's all kind of, you don't waste a lot. And it's kind of fascinating that these big blob shapes waste almost nothing.
Because you can actually cut the blue on.
It's going to be a series of sort of soft sculptures that you can get into, and that are adjustable and changeable, because a lot of the trial of making clothes, for me as a designer, I do all of the pattern cutting and all of the, you know, designing the finishings and stuff, and a lot of it involves trying it on myself or trying it on people in the studio. Even when I was studying, my practice involved a lot more sort of videos and writing and performance, and that's very much my background before I went to study it properly. So yeah, I guess it's more of a look at how I've always worked, I guess. It's just people haven't seen it before, I suppose. The dancers, I guess, it's almost a way of like them showing what you can do within a garment, because I guess I'm quite associated with the sort of luxury fashion, and people can be quite precious about that, but a lot of my interest in fashion come from things that aren't precious. It's almost like elevating things that are very mundane. So yeah, I guess having people be able to do whatever they want and just appreciate it as like a piece of fabric or a piece of whatever it might be, like you can interpret it however you want. And the dancers can then build it on themselves and respond to the space that we kind of build around them. So they'll come into the studio and they'll try it on, we'll do fittings. We'll make this kind of environment for them. It could be like head to toe, or it can be like specific parts of the body. And then they'll respond to inhabiting that space in whatever way they want. And they can push it as far as they want, or they can be as simple, you know, it's it's kind of up for debate and it's quite spontaneous. And I think that spontaneity is really important to the exhibition overall. Sometimes it's for specific performance, like performers, so like musicians and stuff that we'll do stuff for. And I guess a lot of the fashion that I make is grounded in functionality, but that functionality is something that you can question because everyone has to do something different in the clothes that they wear. So that really interests me. And then I kind of wanted to build this thing that I could be experimental within. So I never seen it as being a fashion brand because I'm not super interested in fashion brands. It's more just like a sort of body of work that I keep creating, and I have to be able to experiment. Space is amazing, and I think sometimes as a creative you might see a space like that and just think this is a great opportunity to fill it, but I really wanted to work with it being, I guess, the people being the focus and the space that you're making are embodied.